What's good, YouTube? Welcome to another tips and tricks video. Today we're gonna be looking at the aerial. So if you haven't already watched my aerial tutorial, make sure you go check that out after this video. I think it'd be a great idea. I kind of break down the aerial just a little bit more, but definitely if you're having trouble and you're coming from that video, stick around and watch, and we'll show you some ways to help improve your aerial. The one and only trick that I've ever used for my aerial involves a ledge or a panel mat and then something to mark distances with. So if you don't have access to a gym and you don't have access to a panel mat or something, a ledge will do, and maybe some visual references you can kind of measure distance with, and you'll see why in a second. But if you do have access to a gym or panel mat, you're in luck, because this is an awesome drill and this is an awesome way to help you with your aerial. So we're gonna use both sides of this mat, starting with this longer side. So from here to the top of the panel right here. What this does right here is this gives you a visual kind of aid to stretch out your aerial. So if you're having trouble getting distance in the aerial, making sure that you're pushing up and out and not just going up and down. So specifically, if you have problems with putting your hands down in the aerial before you've made it over, this drill is a lifesaver for you. This is such a great drill to teach distance and to teach how to stand up in it. And plus, you have extra height, which gives you extra time to land. So what this drill looks like, you can do this from running or standing, I don't know, it's up to you, is you're going to run, you're going to hurdle. The point of it is your back leg, so your non-dominant leg. So for me, my left leg will be behind the panel that's laid out. Your dominant leg comes up and stretches out to the top panel right here. And what you'll have to do is you'll have to dip up and off of it. So what that looks like is something like this. You'll go here, hurdle, you're gonna push, lift just like that. This is a really great tool to teach distance in the aerial. So like I said, if you're having problems putting your hands down, because you're not pushing out enough or you're not stretching out enough in the beginning, this is a great visual representation to do that. Now, if you don't have access to a panel mat and you're just going off a ledge outside, you can get two markers, some leaves or stones, maybe whatever you want to, and you can mark, say this is your ledge right here, you can kind of mark where you should be pushing off of, and this is where you should be hurdling from. So if you don't have access to a mat, like I said, you can just mark it. You don't even need a panel mat, you just go off a ledge. And if you don't have a panel mat and you're learning how to do this stuff all outside, I recommend checking out Facebook Marketplace. It's a great tool. You can find a bunch of inexpensive equipment there, like mattresses, for example. Those are awesome if you're learning by yourself. Mattresses will save your life. Even karate panel mats, that's actually what I learned my aerial off of. I had some old puzzle mats that were they're really cheap. You can buy them probably at Walmart for a couple bucks. But I use those to stack up, and those are a really good tool as well to use. Plus, they just provide a little bit extra padding. Not much, but it helps. The next part of this drill is strictly for working on height. So if you don't have to struggle, and you don't really need to use both sides of the mat, this just makes it easier if you can spot it. But if you're having trouble lifting up into the skill and you don't really want to worry about stretching it out, then you can just use this side right here. And in fact, you can even just kind of fold the mat back up. Doesn't really matter. You don't have to do it though. You can just leave it out, but for the sake of this, I'm gonna go ahead and just fold it up. And you can just work on coming off the mat and dipping and lifting up off of it. Now, I don't recommend that as much just because the visual aid of stretching out the aerial is what you want. You want a longer aerial. So this really helps with this solidifying that dip and lift. But again, you're going off a mat, so it makes it a little bit easier. But from there, what you can do is once you understand how to push off the mat, you can work on either stretching it out by doing this and making that hurdle longer. And what's awesome about having the panel mat is you can progressively make it harder by flipping the panels. And all you would do is make sure you just hurdle at that first line right there. So it's still the exact same thing, just a little bit lower to the ground. You can actually work your way down from the aerial on that. So the next drill that we're gonna do involves cartwheels, because what is an aerial? If you watch my tutorial, you know it's just an aggressive cartwheel. So the different cartwheels we're gonna be doing are probably some if you're learning the aerial that you've already done, but we're gonna look at specific things on your normal cartwheel first before you progress to things like one-arm cartwheels and dive cartwheels. So the first thing that you wanna do a normal cartwheel, kind of get your baseline speed of what your cartwheel is. So if I'm doing my cartwheel and it's going like this, and I'm here like that, we've kind of got understanding what my cartwheel looks like. Now, what you want to work on doing is speeding the cartwheel up. And if you don't understand how to speed it up, you need to work on something that's called a heel drive, because the faster you can drive your heels back, the faster you can make the cartwheel accelerate. So what that looks like, if I'm doing a fast cartwheel, is I'm gonna go here, same exact way, and I'm gonna drive my heel back as fast as I can. And you can see what a difference that makes the faster I pull my leg over. So again, that looks like this. I'm here, and I kick my leg just like that. Now, you wanna also work on making these longer too. I know that was really short. So you can go here and stretch and kind of push it through. Whew, that was fast. So just kind of play with the cartwheel speed. That's really important to be able to understand how you're fast you're kicking your leg over and how you actually bring it over in order to do the aerial. So make sure, because for an aerial, you need to drive that leg over faster. So the next type of cartwheel we're gonna look at is a one-arm cartwheel. Now, these, you wanna make sure this is a really good way to understand how you should be stretching out the aerial. What I mean by that is if you're doing a one-arm cartwheel and you're here and you go like this and you fall because the cartwheel is super short and you're holding yourself up on one arm and you can't do that, then that should tell you where you're having problems in the aerial. I guarantee you if your one-arm cartwheel looks like that, your aerial is not gonna be too good. So what you wanna do is you wanna work on, and we're using our dominant hand for this one first, is you wanna work on doing the one-arm cartwheel and stretching it out. So you have some distance on there, so you're kind of shifting your momentum throughout the skill instead of dropping it up and down. If you drop your body weight up and down onto your arms, let's say for example you do this in a back handspring, there's a good chance you're gonna hurt yourself. Tumbling never ever goes up and down onto one spot. It always passes through. Your tumbling skill should never, I should never be able to watch a tumbling skill and break it down into stagnant pieces. I should see everything passing through the skill instead of stopping. You can also do some other things with the one-arm cartwheel with your dominant arm. This is a good time to practice the weighting in the aerial. So what I mean by the weighting is, if you're going into your aerial and you're hurdling like this, your arms, I promise you, are not helping you at all. I don't know anyone who can drive their arms. You don't want to flap like a duck. No one wants to drive their arms like a duck. Don't be a duck. When I say an aerial is just an overhyped cartwheel, I mean it, I promise you, it is. So you want to make sure when you hurdle to do your one-arm cartwheel that your arms are up until you go to reach for the floor and then you pull away. So you can really practice that weighting into it. So if you're going into your one-arm cartwheel and you're looking like this here, that's terrible. You don't want that. So make sure that you are practicing it correctly like this, going through here, reaching out, and then pulling away however it is you want to. Now the next cartwheel drill we'll do for the aerial is the opposite arm one-arm cartwheel. So if you're right dominant, you'll go to your left hand. If you're left dominant, you'll go to your right hand. Now this is a little bit harder, and this definitely will solidify the concept of weighting with your arms to do. And if you do that, I promise you it actually won't be any harder, but you're gonna go into it and you're gonna lead with your non-dominant arm. So you'll go here, you're gonna reach into it, and you're gonna push through like that. This forces you to be a lot quicker in the beginning. I actually have not done that in a very long time, so we'll do it again just to make it look a little bit better. But you're gonna go out, you're gonna reach to the beginning like that. Now, when I learned my aerial, I'll be candid with you guys, since this is a series on how I learned how to do my skills, I did not do that. I did not learn an opposite armed cartwheel. It's one of those things where I think it's like overkill, but it definitely will help you if you can do it properly. So, like I said, I'm here to teach you how I learned how to do it, and I did not use that style cartwheel. I just used my dominant arm. So we have 3 drills left, and the first 2 are kind of the same, just different kind of timing points. You'll see what I mean in a second. So we're gonna be doing more cartwheels, surprisingly, but this time we're gonna be doing dive cartwheels. So a dive cartwheel is a cartwheel where your arms are usually up more in the beginning. You wait to put them down when you're in the middle of the cartwheel. So you should look like this. You'll go here, you're gonna lift up, just like that. Make sure yours are straighter than that. Mine was terrible. Essentially, that's what you're doing, is you're working on driving those arms. And I know I usually say I do my arms with a straight drive. For a dive cartwheel, I think it makes more sense to kind of bend your arms like this. That way they're closer, they're ready to go to the ground. I wouldn't try to dive them out really, because it's kind of stupid and dangerous, so don't do that. But you can work on waiting longer and longer in the beginning to put your hands down. And in fact, if you combine the dive cartwheel with the mat drill, which is exactly what I did when I learned my aerial, it makes it really easy to do. Just try to work on holding those arms up longer and longer until you don't need to put them down. Now, on to the second part of this drill is a dive cartwheel kind of sort of thing, except you put your hands down in the beginning and you drive your heels under, or you drive your foot under you. An aerial, and I didn't explain this in my tutorial, so I'm sorry, but an aerial is an interesting skill because it's similar to an Arabian, where you turn a toe drive, or you turn a heel drive into a toe drive. So what that means is the beginning of the aerial, I'm driving this leg over through here, but on the end of the aerial, I'm pulling my toes up. Make sure you understand that that's what you're doing going through it. This next drill, what it looks like is you'll go here, you're gonna cartwheel, and you're gonna pop off and bring that foot under you. Now this will help solidify that toe drive movement. If you're having struggle, if you're doing your aerial and you're landing like this, you're not pulling your back leg underneath, or your back leg underneath you enough. So that might help you with that. But those two style of cartwheels will definitely help you with the aerial. I recommend doing them in a gym or off a height or something. That's what I did. It makes it really easy. So for this last drill, which I wouldn't really, it's a drill, but it's more of like a conditioning thing for the aerial. Story time real quick. I almost gave myself a hernia doing these because I definitely was not flexible enough, nor did I have the years of experience that I have now to just whip out tricks. So I pulled my groin. I thought I gave myself a hernia, but I really damaged myself. I was out for a long time because I kept drilling the skill over and over again where I wasn't properly conditioned. So make sure you do throw these into your conditioning regimen for your tumbling and stuff like that. And all you're gonna do is you can actually just find a wall, put your dominant foot in front of you and just kick your legs up, just like this. That's all you wanna do. Switch legs, same thing, like that, going into it. And then make sure you really warm up those hip flexors. You can actually do through here too. But leg kicks really are the big things to the aerials. Make sure you're doing that so you don't pull your groin and give yourself a hernia like I almost did. That's not what you want to do. So guys, that's it for today's tips and tricks video. If you found it helpful, make sure you leave a like down below and leave a comment. I appreciate your guys' feedback on the videos. That would be awesome. I love hearing from you guys. Make sure you tag me in some videos online so I can watch you guys, how you're progressing through the skills. Feel free to find me on Instagram. A link is in the description down below. And also guys, if you're watching, you're not already, make sure you subscribe and hit the post notes button so you're notified for every single upload. But guys, we are so close to 100 subscribers, so thank you guys so much for the support. It means a lot. I never actually thought we would get to 100 subs, so that's insane. Thank you guys for watching me and putting up with my rambling about tumbling and my vlogs and stuff like that. It means the world to me. So if you have any ideas for videos you want to see covered in the channel, make sure you leave a comment down below. I would love to do some of the stuff, ideas that you guys have. Any tutorials you want covered, any tips and tricks videos you want covered, leave them down in the comments. I'll get to them. So that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video. Until then, I'm out.